Have you ever given your time, your love, and your effort to a woman only to watch her walk away like you meant nothing? No arguments, no explanation, just distance. Most men react the wrong way. They chase, they beg, they try to prove their value. But the men women regret losing the most are the men who walk away silently and improve their lives. In this video, I'll show you 7 silent ways to make women regret losing you. No revenge, no games, just self-respect and growth. And the last one is the most powerful. Comment, "No more chasing," if you're ready to watch till the end. Number 1. Stop explaining yourself. The first silent move is simple. Stop explaining. You already know the moment when this lesson becomes necessary, because it usually arrives after months or even years of effort where you keep trying to clarify your intentions, clarify your actions, clarify your words, and somehow, no matter how clearly you speak, the situation still turns against you, because the more you explain yourself to someone who already decided how they see you, the less respect you gain and the more control you hand over. And this is the painful reality many men live through, where they believe if they just communicate better, everything will finally make sense. Yet what actually happens is the opposite. The explanations grow longer, the patience grows thinner, and the respect quietly disappears, because explanation without authority looks like justification, and justification signals uncertainty, and uncertainty slowly erodes the value you carry as a man in someone's life. So when the relationship collapses, many men replay every conversation in their mind, wondering what they could have said differently. What sentence could have saved everything? What explanation could have made her finally understand their intentions? But the truth is brutally simple, and many men resist hearing it at first. The moment someone demands endless explanations from you is often the moment they stop seeing you as a man with authority over his own life and start treating you like someone who must constantly defend himself. And this is where a fundamental shift must happen in your thinking, because a man who lives by strong internal principles does not spend his life persuading others that he is worthy of respect. He lives in a way that demonstrates it through calm decisions, through boundaries, through controlled silence, through actions that do not require permission or approval. And when you stop explaining yourself, something interesting begins to happen inside you long before it happens outside you. Because at first, the silence feels uncomfortable. You are used to defending your position. You are used to smoothing conflicts. You are used to trying to maintain harmony. But now you choose restraint. Now you choose composure. Now you choose discipline over emotional reactions. And this is where the Stoic mindset becomes practical rather than theoretical. You begin to recognize that your energy is limited, and every explanation you give to someone who already decided how they view you is energy wasted on a situation outside your control. So instead of arguing about perceptions, you focus on controlling your conduct, your standards, your direction in life. And once this shift begins, your presence changes in ways that people notice even when nothing is said. Because a man who stops defending himself constantly carries a different energy. His words become fewer but sharper, his decisions become clearer, his posture becomes steadier, and the people around him gradually sense that he no longer negotiates his identity with anyone. And this alone transforms how others treat him, because people instinctively test the boundaries of those who keep explaining themselves while they hesitate around those who demonstrate calm certainty. And many men discover something surprising when they adopt this discipline. The conversations that once drained them begin disappearing. The accusations that once demanded paragraphs of explanation lose their power, because silence forces the other person to sit with their own assumptions rather than using your explanations as ammunition to keep the cycle alive. And over time, this creates a psychological shift that many women do not expect, because they become accustomed to men who constantly seek validation and reassurance from them. Yet when they encounter a man who quietly steps back from that pattern, they begin to question what changed. They begin wondering why the man who once explained everything now simply listens, nods, and moves forward without defending every accusation thrown in his direction. And this curiosity grows stronger when they realize that the silence is not bitterness, and it is not weakness either. It is simply self-respect expressed through restraint. And here is where the deeper transformation begins, because when you stop explaining yourself, you also start noticing how many situations in your life were built on the habit of overproving your worth to people who were never planning to appreciate it in the first place. You begin seeing the countless moments where you sacrificed your time, your energy, your peace, just to maintain someone else's comfort while your own standards slowly lowered. And once that awareness enters your mind, it becomes impossible to go back to the old version of yourself that begged to be understood by people who never truly tried to understand you, because now you see clearly that respect does not grow from constant persuasion. It grows from boundaries that are enforced quietly and consistently. And as you begin living by that discipline, your entire life structure starts reorganizing around stronger principles. Your schedule becomes more intentional, your priorities become sharper, your tolerance for pointless arguments disappears, and the people who once expected endless explanations from you suddenly realize that access to your time and attention is no longer automatic. It must be earned through mutual respect, and this realization alone changes how they perceive the man they thought they had already figured out, because what they now observe is someone who stands firm without hostility, someone who refuses to participate in emotional chaos, someone who walks away from pointless debates without raising his voice. And this composure unsettles those who once believed they could push you into defending yourself endlessly, because now they are confronted with a version of you that does not seek their approval. And this is where many men experience a powerful internal victory that has nothing to do with whether a woman regrets losing them or not, because the real victory is discovering that your peace of mind was never supposed to depend on someone else acknowledging your worth. It was always supposed to come from the discipline of living according to principles you refuse to compromise. And once that realization becomes part of your daily conduct, you stop chasing validation, you stop rehearsing explanations in your head, you stop losing sleep over conversations that lead nowhere, and instead you move through life with quiet certainty, knowing that the people who recognize your value will do so without interrogation, while those who cannot see it were never meant to guide your direction in the first place. And if this realization is opening your eyes to how powerful Stoic discipline can be in your life, this is exactly why the Stoic Relationship Blueprint exists, a guide created for men who are ready to stop chasing validation and start building a life rooted in timeless Stoic principles that strengthen your mindset, your boundaries, and your direction immediately. The book is now also available as an audiobook, so you can absorb this life-changing knowledge while walking, training, commuting, or simply taking time alone to think clearly about the man you are becoming. You will find the link in the comments, and once it is yours, it remains yours forever, meaning this wisdom will always be there whenever you need clarity, strength, and guidance in the moments that truly test your character. Number 2. Improve your life quietly. This principle becomes transformative the moment a man realizes that the loudest proof of change is not speech, but progress that unfolds without constant announcements. Because many men reach a stage after a breakup where the urge to demonstrate success becomes overwhelming. They want the world to see that they are doing better. They want the woman who left to witness their transformation. They want validation that their improvement matters, but the deeper discipline begins when you redirect that energy away from proving something to someone else and invest it entirely into building a life that becomes undeniable over time. And this requires a level of patience and self-control that many people never develop because it means waking up early when nobody is applauding, training your body when nobody is watching, developing skills that might take years before they show results, studying, working, saving, building structure in your life, while the outside world sees very little at first. And this quiet phase is exactly where real transformation is built, because it forces you to confront the version of yourself that previously relied on attention for motivation. Now, the only motivation left is the standard you hold yourself to every single day. And this is where Stoic discipline becomes practical again, because you begin separating what is within your control from what is not. You cannot control whether someone regrets leaving you. You cannot control how people interpret your actions. You cannot control the narratives others create about you, but you absolutely control the habits you practice every morning, the way you train your body, the way you sharpen your mind, the way you structure your environment. And once you fully commit to controlling those elements, your progress becomes inevitable, regardless of who is watching or who is not. And this is the point where many men experience an unexpected shift in their identity, because the man who once built his schedule around someone else's approval now builds his schedule around his own standards. His mornings become purposeful rather than reactive. His evenings become focused rather than distracted. His decisions start aligning with long-term growth rather than temporary comfort, and over time the results begin stacking quietly like bricks, forming the foundation of a stronger life. Your posture changes because your body grows stronger. Your conversations change because your thinking grows clearer. Your financial situation improves because your discipline grows sharper. And eventually, people start noticing that something about you is different, even though you never made a public declaration about changing your life. And this is where the silent power of improvement reveals itself, because the transformation appears natural rather than forced. People cannot pinpoint the exact moment it began, yet they clearly see the difference between who you were and who you are becoming. And when a woman who once underestimated your potential notices this shift, it introduces a realization that cannot be ignored, because she begins connecting the dots between the man she left and the man who now moves through life with stronger direction and higher standards. And the interesting part is that by the time this realization occurs, you are no longer building your life with the intention of proving her wrong. You are building it because the discipline itself has become part of your identity. You no longer chase attention. You chase mastery in different areas of your life. You become selective with your time, selective with your energy, selective with the people who gain access to your world. And this shift naturally elevates your environment as well, because disciplined men tend to attract other disciplined individuals who respect structure, ambition, and accountability. And suddenly, the life that once revolved around a relationship becomes something far more expansive. It becomes a path of constant growth, where every month you push your limits slightly further. Every year you refine your habits. Every setback becomes a lesson rather than a permanent obstacle. And this mindset creates a psychological advantage that many people fail to understand, because they believe success is about talent or luck, when in reality it is about consistency practiced over long periods without the need for external praise. And as this consistency compounds, your confidence becomes grounded in real evidence rather than temporary excitement. You know exactly what you are capable of because you prove it to yourself daily through disciplined action, and this quiet confidence becomes visible to everyone around you. Whether they acknowledge it openly or not, your presence carries stability, your words carry weight, your decisions carry clarity, and the man who once tried to impress others now commands respect simply by living according to standards that cannot be easily shaken. And when you reach this stage, the question of whether a woman regrets losing you becomes almost irrelevant, because your attention has shifted entirely toward building a life that continues expanding regardless of who participates in it. And ironically, that is often the moment when people start looking back, wondering if they underestimated the man you were becoming, because the improvement they once dismissed has now turned into undeniable progress, and the truth becomes clear for anyone observing from a distance. The man who quietly works on himself every day eventually becomes impossible to ignore, while the people who doubted him are left recognizing that they walked away from someone who refused to remain the same. Number 3. Become less available. Availability defines value, and the moment you understand this principle, your entire perspective on relationships changes, because you begin noticing how often men unknowingly lower their own value simply by making themselves endlessly accessible, replying instantly to every message, rearranging their schedules at a moment's notice, sacrificing their priorities to keep someone else comfortable, believing that constant presence proves loyalty and dedication, when in reality, constant availability quietly communicates something very different. It communicates that your time is easily negotiable and that your life revolves around another person's attention rather than your own direction, and this pattern slowly drains respect, because people naturally appreciate what requires effort to access, while they overlook what is always present without conditions. So when a relationship ends, many men continue this same habit without realizing it. They remain emotionally and mentally available to someone who has already stepped away. They keep checking their phone, hoping for contact. They stay ready to respond immediately if she reaches out. And this mindset keeps them trapped in a position where their life is paused while hers continues moving forward. And that is where the discipline of distance becomes essential, because becoming less available is not about manipulation or games. It is about reclaiming authority over your time, your energy, and your attention. It is about recognizing that your life is not a waiting room for someone who chose to walk out. And once you adopt this mindset, your daily behavior begins to shift in practical ways that restore dignity and structure. You stop responding instantly to every notification. You stop giving priority to conversations that lead nowhere. You stop allowing someone who left your life to occupy mental space that should be used for your own growth. And this creates an important psychological shift, because when access to you is no longer automatic, people begin to notice the absence of what they once took for granted. They notice that the man who used to be constantly present now invests his time elsewhere. They notice that your schedule no longer revolves around their convenience, and this realization introduces a sense of scarcity that changes the way people evaluate your presence in their life, because scarcity forces people to reconsider value in ways that constant availability never does. And here is where the Stoic principle of focusing on what lies within your control becomes deeply practical again. You cannot control whether someone appreciates your presence, but you absolutely control how freely you distribute your time and attention. And once you start guarding those resources with discipline, you begin building a life that is structured around purpose rather than emotional dependency. Your mornings become focused on productivity instead of checking whether someone responded to you. Your evenings become dedicated to improvement instead of revisiting old conversations in your head. And over time, this structure produces something powerful that many men overlook at first. It produces independence, not the loud type that seeks validation through display, but the quiet type that comes from knowing your life is moving forward regardless of who is watching or who is not. And when a woman who once had unlimited access to your attention suddenly realizes that access has boundaries, she begins re-evaluating the dynamic she thought she understood. Because people are accustomed to men who remain emotionally available even after being dismissed, men who keep providing attention long after the relationship has ended. And when that pattern stops, the contrast becomes noticeable. It forces a reconsideration of the assumptions that once seemed obvious, and at the same time something equally important happens within you. Because the distance you create externally also produces clarity internally. you begin seeing how many situations in your life were shaped by the habit of prioritizing others over your own direction. You recognize how often you delayed personal goals to maintain relationships that were not reciprocating the same level of commitment, and this awareness becomes the foundation for a stronger life structure where your priorities are no longer negotiable. Your time is allocated intentionally, and the people who remain in your life are those who respect the boundaries you set, rather than those who constantly test them. And as this discipline becomes part of your character, your entire presence begins to shift. You carry yourself with calm authority because your life no longer revolves around seeking someone else's approval. You move with purpose because your time is invested in progress rather than emotional uncertainty, and eventually people begin noticing that the man they once assumed would remain available forever has built a life where access must now be earned, and this realization often arrives long after the moment where it would have mattered most, because by the time others start recognizing the value of your absence, you have already moved forward with a life that no longer depends on their recognition. Number 4. Control your emotions. Emotional control is rare, and that rarity is exactly why it becomes one of the most powerful traits a man can develop, because in a world where people react instantly to every impulse, the man who maintains composure stands out immediately. Yet this discipline does not appear overnight, and it certainly does not come easily. It develops through moments where your patience is tested, where your pride is challenged, where someone says things designed to provoke a reaction. And many men know exactly how these moments unfold because they have lived through conversations where accusations replace understanding, where frustration escalates into long arguments, where both sides say things that only deepen the distance between them. And after the relationship ends, those memories often replay in the mind like unfinished conversations that should have been handled differently. But the real lesson emerges when you begin examining the role emotional reactions played in those situations, because every time you allowed anger or frustration to control your response, you handed the other person influence over your state of mind. You allowed someone else's words to dictate your behavior, and this is where the Stoic approach becomes a practical tool rather than abstract philosophy, because it begins with the simple recognition that external events will always exist outside your control, while your reaction to them remains entirely within your control. And once you internalize that principle, you begin approaching conflict differently. You pause before responding. You observe the situation rather than immediately engaging in it. You ask yourself whether reacting emotionally will improve the outcome or simply drain your energy further. And this pause alone changes the entire dynamic of a conversation, because people often expect men to react impulsively. They expect raised voices, defensive arguments, long attempts to justify every decision, and when those expectations are not met, they suddenly face a calm presence that refuses to participate in emotional chaos. And that calmness carries a psychological weight that many underestimate, because it demonstrates discipline and self-command in ways that loud reactions never can. It communicates that your state of mind is not easily shaken, that your decisions are not guided by temporary anger, that your dignity does not collapse the moment someone tries to provoke you. And this composure becomes particularly important after a breakup, because the period following the end of a relationship often includes moments where communication becomes unpredictable, where messages appear unexpectedly, where old disagreements resurface, and many men fall back into the same patterns of emotional reaction that existed before. But the man who has developed control approaches these situations differently. He refuses to engage in endless debates about the past. He refuses to react impulsively to every accusation. He maintains clarity about his boundaries and expresses them calmly, without seeking approval. And this approach produces something that many people rarely encounter: a man who cannot be manipulated through emotional pressure, a man who does not abandon his principles simply to avoid conflict. And this stability often forces others to reconsider how they interact with him, because emotional manipulation only works on those who respond impulsively, while it loses effectiveness against someone who remains composed regardless of the circumstances. And at the same time, this discipline strengthens your own life, because emotional control frees enormous amounts of mental energy that were previously spent on arguments, regrets, and endless internal debates about what should have been said differently. Now that energy becomes available for building your future, for sharpening your skills, for strengthening your body and mind, and over time this consistent self-control transforms your identity, because you no longer see yourself as someone who is constantly reacting to events around you. You see yourself as someone who chooses responses deliberately, someone who approaches challenges with clarity rather than agitation. And this shift gradually changes how others perceive you as well, because calm authority naturally commands respect, even from those who disagree with you. And when someone looks back at the relationship they once had with you, they begin recognizing that the man they once provoked into arguments is no longer the same person. He now operates from a place of discipline that cannot be easily disrupted, and this realization often carries a powerful impact, because people tend to underestimate the strength of someone who quietly develops control over his own emotions until they witness the difference firsthand. Number 5. Upgrade your environment. Your environment shapes your identity more than most people are willing to admit, and the moment you begin examining the people and places surrounding your daily life, you often discover that many of them quietly reinforce the version of yourself you are trying to leave behind, because habits do not exist in isolation. They are supported by routines, by conversations, by the expectations of those around you. And when a relationship ends, it exposes just how much of your life was structured around a particular dynamic that no longer exists, leaving many men standing in the same physical spaces, interacting with the same circles, following the same routines while internally knowing something must change if their life is going to move in a stronger direction. And this realization becomes the starting point for upgrading your environment in ways that gradually reshape your entire outlook. Because once you decide that your future requires higher standards, you begin examining the influences surrounding you with new clarity. You ask whether the people you spend time with encourage discipline or distract from it, whether the conversations you participate in revolve around growth or endless complaints, whether the places you frequent inspire progress or simply maintain old patterns that keep you comfortable but stagnant. And this awareness leads to deliberate decisions that many men initially find difficult, because upgrading your environment often means reducing time spent with individuals who are content remaining where they are, individuals who prefer familiar routines over challenging improvement. Yet this step becomes necessary because the direction of your life is heavily influenced by the standards of those closest to you, and when you start aligning yourself with people who value discipline, responsibility, and long-term thinking, your own mindset begins adapting naturally to those expectations. You observe how they structure their days, how they approach setbacks, how they invest their time and energy, and gradually those behaviors begin influencing your own conduct in ways that strengthen your direction without requiring constant motivation. And this transformation also extends beyond social circles into the physical spaces you occupy daily, because the environment where you wake up, work, train, and think plays a significant role in shaping your focus and productivity. So you begin organizing your surroundings to support the life you intend to build rather than the life you are leaving behind. You remove distractions that drain your attention. You create spaces that encourage discipline and clarity. You structure your schedule around purposeful activities rather than impulsive habits. And this process builds momentum because every improvement in your environment reinforces the standards you are developing within yourself. And over time, these changes accumulate until your life begins looking completely different from the one you once lived, not because of a single dramatic decision, but because of dozens of deliberate adjustments that gradually elevated the quality of your daily experiences. And this shift becomes noticeable to others as well, because your energy changes when your environment supports your growth rather than resisting it. Your conversations become more focused, your goals become more ambitious, your time becomes more structured, and people who once knew you during a different phase of your life begin noticing that the man standing before them now carries himself with greater purpose and clarity. And when a woman who once underestimated your direction observes this transformation, she cannot ignore the contrast between the environment you shared before and the one you have built afterward, because it reveals that the man she left did not collapse under disappointment, but instead used the experience as motivation to elevate every aspect of his life. And that realization often introduces a level of respect that was absent before. Yet by the time it appears, your attention has already shifted toward building a future surrounded by people and environments that align with the standards you refuse to compromise. Number 6. Build strong discipline. Discipline is the quiet force that separates a life driven by impulse from a life guided by purpose. And once you recognize its importance, you begin seeing how often men attempt to rebuild their lives after a breakup through temporary motivation rather than consistent structure. They start new habits for a few weeks. They promise themselves dramatic changes. They set ambitious goals fueled by frustration. Yet without discipline, those bursts of motivation fade quickly, leaving them exactly where they started, repeating the same cycle of temporary effort followed by disappointment. And the real transformation begins when you accept a difficult truth that many people avoid acknowledging. The life you want will not appear through emotional excitement, but through daily actions performed with consistency, even when enthusiasm disappears. Because discipline is not about how strongly you begin, but about how reliably you continue. It is waking up early even when your body prefers comfort. It is training your body even when progress feels slow. It is working toward long-term goals while others chase immediate gratification. And this mindset gradually reshapes your identity, because every disciplined action becomes evidence that you are capable of governing your own life. And this evidence builds confidence far more effectively than empty affirmations ever could, because it is grounded in real behavior rather than hopeful thinking. And the Stoic principle behind this approach is straightforward. You focus your energy on actions that lie within your control while refusing to waste time complaining about circumstances that do not. So instead of dwelling on the past, you build routines that strengthen your present. You schedule your day with intention. You hold yourself accountable to standards that remain consistent regardless of mood, and this structure begins producing results that accumulate quietly but powerfully over time. Your physical strength improves because your training remains consistent. Your financial stability grows because your work ethic becomes reliable. Your mental clarity sharpens because your focus is no longer scattered across endless distractions. And eventually these improvements form a foundation of stability that influences every aspect of your life, because a disciplined man approaches challenges differently from someone guided purely by impulse. He evaluates situations calmly. He makes decisions based on long-term outcomes rather than temporary emotion. He understands that progress often appears slowly but becomes undeniable with enough patience and persistence, and this perspective transforms the way you interpret the end of a relationship as well. Because instead of viewing it as a setback that defines your worth, you treat it as an event that revealed areas of your life requiring stronger structure and focus. And that realization becomes motivation to build habits that reinforce your independence and self-respect. And as these habits become part of your daily routine, The version of yourself that once relied heavily on someone else's presence gradually fades, replaced by a man who knows exactly how to guide his own direction through discipline and consistency. And this transformation often surprises those who knew you before, because they remember the earlier version of you who operated differently. Yet the disciplined version they see now carries himself with a calm confidence that comes from years of steady improvement rather than sudden change. And this steady progress eventually forces others to reconsider the assumptions they once made about your potential, because the man who quietly practices discipline every day becomes impossible to overlook, regardless of how little attention he seeks. Number 7. Be happy without her. Nothing confuses people more than seeing a man they expected to collapse continue building a fulfilling life with calm confidence and genuine enjoyment. Because many relationships end with the silent assumption that the man left behind will remain emotionally stuck in the past, while the other person moves forward freely. Yet that expectation collapses the moment you choose to build a life that does not revolve around the absence of someone who walked away. And this decision begins with a fundamental shift in perspective, where you stop measuring your happiness through the presence or absence of a particular individual and start measuring it through the quality of the life you create for yourself each day. Because happiness in this context is not superficial excitement or temporary distraction, it is the quiet satisfaction that emerges when your daily actions align with your values, when your routines support your growth, when your goals challenge you in ways that bring meaning to your efforts. And once you adopt this mindset, you begin structuring your life around experiences and achievements that reinforce your independence rather than leaving you dependent on someone else's validation. You invest time in activities that sharpen your abilities. You strengthen friendships with people who respect your direction. You pursue goals that demand discipline and reward persistence. And gradually your life becomes full again, not because someone filled the space left behind, but because you expanded your world beyond the narrow boundaries that once defined it. And this transformation carries a powerful psychological impact, because people who expected to see you trapped in disappointment suddenly encounter someone who appears energized by his new direction, someone who travels, learns, builds, trains, and enjoys the process of becoming stronger in different areas of life. And this contrast forces a reconsideration of the narrative they once believed, because it becomes clear that the end of the relationship did not define the limits of your potential. It simply removed a chapter that was no longer aligned with your path. And the Stoic principle guiding this transformation is simple yet profound. You accept that the actions of others lie beyond your control, while your own character and conduct remain entirely within your control. And once you internalize that truth, you stop waiting for closure from someone else and start creating fulfillment through your own choices. Your happiness becomes rooted in discipline, purpose, and progress rather than external approval. And this independence naturally changes the way people perceive you, because a man who enjoys his life without constantly seeking validation from others carries an aura of stability that many find compelling. And when a woman who once assumed you would remain emotionally attached to the past observes this new version of you, she often experiences a moment of realization that arrives quietly but powerfully, because the man she expected to remain defined by the relationship has clearly moved forward into a life that continues expanding without her participation. And by the time that realization appears, you are no longer concerned with whether she regrets leaving, because your attention has shifted entirely toward the opportunities and experiences that lie ahead. And the life you are building now is far too meaningful to be reduced to a question about someone who chose not to be part of it. If this message resonates with something deep inside you, understand this truth. Most men are never taught how to live with discipline, self-respect, and clarity, because a man who understands these Stoic principles becomes impossible to manipulate. which is exactly why the Stoic relationship blueprint exists. A powerful guide for men filled with timeless Stoic wisdom that can transform the way you think, act, and lead your life immediately. And it is now also available as an audiobook, so you can absorb this knowledge while walking, training, or driving, with the link waiting for you in the comments. If you are ready to stop repeating the same mistakes and start building a life that commands respect, comment Stoic discipline like this video and subscribe so more men can discover these truths before they lose years of their lives learning them the hard way.